What's going on, everyone? Ronin here, and I want to welcome you all back to the channel. Before we get into today's episode, I want to take a special chance to thank the editor of this episode, the engineer Iguana. You see his logo right here, so thank you very much for handling this episode for me and getting it out as quickly as you did. But with all that being said, let's move on to the analytics. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so that way you'll never miss another upload, and don't forget to drop the comment. Anything you do helps fuel the algorithm. But with all that being said, let's get into part 7 of What If I Wrote the Pokemon Anime. I hope you enjoy. We begin this part with Ash and Pikachu standing at the door of the pewter gym. It has been a week since we last saw them, and Ash is feeling more confident than ever. While Nidoran is still having issues being around Pikachu due to their past encounters, Butterfree has been training with the two, helping Pikachu hone its targeting with its new move, Iron Tail. Though this training was focused on Pikachu, Butterfree did benefit in the form of more control over its confusion and gust attacks. Ash stands confident with both Misty and Flint to his back. The redhead makes one last suggestion for Ash to use her water types, but she is stopped mid-sentence by Flint. Everything Ash has done up until this point would be wasted if he used your water types. This needs to be his win. Misty still doesn't trust the homeless man, so she ignores him. But Ash is so focused that he doesn't even notice the hostility between the two. Our hero steps forward, pushing on the doors of the gym to reveal Brock standing, waiting for Ash. "I figured you'd be here a week ago," Brock says, "but I didn't expect you to be in the company of scum," directing his hostility at Flint. This does trigger Ash, as he tries to defend his mentor, but Flint tells him to stay focused. Nothing else matters but what he is here for. Flint then tells Misty to follow. They will watch from above. She reluctantly follows, to which they are quickly met with the same boy and his Geodude that watched the battle last time. "Forest," Flint says. "It's good to see you." However, the boy says nothing, only turning to view the action below. This is where we find Ash telling Brock that he's ready for their 2-on-2 rematch. His Pokemon have been training hard, and they will win. With a very heavy face, Brock asks a simple question. "Ash, did you train with my father?" "So what if I did?" he responds. "So he can take the time to train some nobody kid, but taking care of his family is something that he just can't do? Let me guess, he told you exactly how to beat my Onix." Ash sits quietly, looking at Flint in the rafters. "Your silence is all I needed to hear. That pathetic excuse for a man is nothing. No, he's less than nothing." This is where Ash finally breaks his silence, telling Brock he should just shut up. He came here for a battle. So, avoiding the issue at hand? Well, I can see why you would be training under him. Fine. Since your mind is so one track, then these will be the stipulations. We will have only a one-on-one battle. If you can't win, then you can't re-challenge my gym. Now, Brock, you know that's against league rules, Flint says. "Can it, old man? You can't tell me what to do. That's a privilege you lost a long time ago." Flint tries to say something, but is cut off by Ash when he says he accepts Brock's terms. If Brock can win, Ash will leave and never show his face at the Pewter City gym again. "What happens if he refuses a challenge?" Misty asks Flint. "It's simple. Then they will revoke the gym certification, then shut it down. That means Brock will no longer have a way to support his siblings," Flint responds. This leaves Misty in silence as Flint looks on, knowing that their training may have been useless if Brock has planned what he thinks he does. Back on the battlefield, Ash readies his choice. His starter, Pikachu. The mouse sparks as it hops in, ready for the rematch that has been waiting for. Brock stares down the both of them. Anger is beginning to fill him, but he ignores it as he chooses his one and only Pokemon, the fossil Ammonite. Immediately, Ash realizes that he may have been off more than he can chew, as the whole time he was training, he was just focused on facing Brock's Onix again. But Pikachu sparks, telling the boy not to worry. They can do this. Realizing he needs to have faith in the mouse, he tells Brock he's ready whenever the leader is. Normally, a leader would give the challenger the first move, but in this case, Brock takes it without any warning, calling for a mud shot. Before the mouse can respond, it is smacked with a thick slab of mud that sends it tumbling back into the rock behind it. Ash calls to it, hoping that the mouse is okay, and even worse, that it wasn't just one-shotted in his one and only rematch. Luckily, Pikachu is able to stand up, giving the signal that it's ready to continue. Flint yells to Ash that he needs to use Pikachu's speed. It's the only thing that will equalize the battle. This frustrates Brock a little, as Flint shouldn't be coaching the boy, but Ash responds with the advice by calling for a quick attack. However, this won't work, as Brock is one step ahead of Ash with his fossil Pokemon on top of Pikachu with an impressive display of speed of its own as it spins at a high rate, connecting with the roll rollout. Again, Pikachu is sent flying with the cry of the mouse that sort of breaks Ash inside. Brock tells the boy that all of that training he did with Flint was useless, as seen on display in this battle. Only 2 moves in, and he's already lost. But Ash doesn't hear this. In fact, he doesn't hear anything but a heartbeat. His heartbeat. No, Pikachu's heartbeat. Everything is in slow motion right now, as Ash watches the mouse fly in the air. Pikachu, maybe we should stop. Maybe Pokemon battles aren't our thing. Ash says to it, I don't think it's worth it if you and the others are only going to get hurt. But almost as if the two share a thought for a brief moment, they both see all of the experiences they've had in their brief time together. Ash didn't give up on Pikachu when things got hard, so why would it give up on him? It's at this moment that Ash realizes the two are in this together. Up until this point, he wanted to believe it, but never truly did. But now, he feels that they can truly do this. Suddenly, the boy snaps out of his mental space, calling for Pikachu to use its tail like a spring and bounce off the rock just ahead. The mouth curls up, doing as its trainer asks. Then, in a moment of pure speed, Pikachu thrusts off the rock in the direction of its opponent. Then, in one moment of synchronicity, both it and Ash share another thought, as it lands the move that they practiced all last week, Iron Tail. The attack lands with an increased force, sending Ammonite into an awkward spin as it crashes into one of the many boulders on the battlefield. This catches Brock by surprise and is actually a cause for concern. He had written this boy off because his father had trained him. However, this thought frustrates the leader more as he orders his Mon back on the attack with another mud shot. Ash, that's a ground move, Flint yells, but the boy is already on it as he commands a quick attack to dodge. The mouse is able to evade the attack, but it's met with another rollout as it comes to a stop. This one is more aggressive this time, sending Pikachu through another boulder as it is stunned from the impact. This makes Brock calm down a little as he has control again. That was just a fluky thing, as Ash again struggles with the fact that his mouse, it may be down and out. Luckily, Pikachu is still able to stand, slowly staggering back onto the battlefield. Well, I'll give you this, Ash. You guys have guts, but that won't win a battle. Now Ammonite, finish this, Brock yells. Ash has one last thing he hasn't tried, Pikachu's Thunder Shock. Flint had told Ash not to use it against Onix, but this is a different story. Throwing caution to the wind, Ash calls for one final Thunder Shock. Pikachu begins to spark, firing the move and connecting with its target. Now, it's a war of attrition. Who will run out of juice first? Ammonite spins in the direction of the electric rodent as electricity consumes it, but it's beginning to slow. This gives Ash a glimmer of hope, only for Pikachu to begin to waver in its attack as the fossil strikes the mouse, causing the two to crash into the largest boulder on the battlefield, leaving it in a pile of rubble. Both trainers look on, awaiting the judge's decision. Slowly from the pile, movement can be seen. Something is stirring and it quickly emerges as Ammonite slowly rolls out, much to the relief of Brock and the dismay of Ash. But upon closer inspection, it's revealed that it has spirals in its eyes, and Brock has lost. But the question is if Pikachu is still moving. But they quickly find out as the rest of the pile crumbles, revealing that Pikachu is also unable to battle, making this a draw. That means that since Ash didn't win, he can no longer challenge the Pewter Gym. Ash thanks Brock for the opportunity to challenge him. He will honor their agreement and leave the gym, never to return for another battle. This is where Flint yells at the two. No, that was not the deal. Ash, you can re-challenge. Brock didn't win, but Ash tells Flint that it seems that Brock has an issue with him. For whatever reason, Brock doesn't want to battle Ash, and he's not here to make enemies, so it would be best if he just never returns. Ash then takes his starter and leaves with Misty in tow, yelling for Ash to wait up. This leaves Flint, Forrest, and Brock alone. Joining his son on the gym floor, Brock and Flint begin to argue about everything that's happened. Years of frustration and anger pouring out as Brock scolds his absent father. Flint just lets the boy speak his piece before even trying to answer, which causes Brock's anger to boil even more as he demands to know why Flint hasn't answered. The only thing he can do is pull his son in, giving him a hug as Brock breaks down in Flint's arms, while for the first time in his life, Forrest sees a side of his older brother that he never knew existed. Now we follow up with Ash and Misty as Pikachu is being checked out by Nurse Joy. Misty demands to know why Ash just left. He can have another battle. Brock lost. Ash just simply replies that they have way too many issues in that family and he doesn't want to be at the center of it. He may not understand a lot, but he knows one thing. The broken relationship between Flint and Brock isn't something he needs to be in. So he will move on and hopefully they can heal. After all, he couldn't imagine having that much anger and aggression towards his dad. This response finally silences Misty as Pikachu is brought back out and the night fades to the next morning. After a good meal and some stocking up at the local mart, Ash is ready to set out, with Misty still following him, reminding our hero that he owes her a bike. I know, he says as they walk down the road that leads out of the city. However, our hero doesn't make it far, as a very familiar voice is calling him. It's Brock. Hey, wait up! Ash turns as the leader slowly catches up. Hey Brock, is everything okay? Ash asks. With a deep breath, Brock tells Ash that he needed to apologize for yesterday. He was taking out his frustration against his father on Ash, and he feels that even though he didn't win for what Brock put him through, Ash earned the Boulder Badge from the Pewter Gym. Ash looks at it in silence for a moment, thinking deeply about this gesture. This allows time for Flint to catch up to the group, only to be met with Ash turning down the badge. He tells Brock that he didn't win, so there's no reason to take it. And even though Brock was a bit of a jerk, a deal is a deal, and he didn't win, so he will honor their agreement. He just wants Flint and Brock to make amends. A father and son shouldn't fight like that. Brock doesn't know how to react, but Flint quickly interjects, asking Ash if he's sure. Our hero nods, saying it's only right. Well, Ash, we actually have, believe it or not. You were the reason for it. If I wouldn't have worked with you, then me and Brock wouldn't have been forced to talk like we did. Now, I'm going to be taking over the gym so that Brock can focus on being a trainer. That's great, Ash says, but still, I don't feel like I was strong enough to win, so I'm still going to have to decline the offer of your badge. You see, Dad, I told you you wouldn't take it. Flint then rubs his beard as a thought crosses his mind. Say, Ash, if you were strong enough to beat Brock, then would you take the badge? He asks. Well, yeah, our hero says. Then it's settled, Flint says as he slaps a traveling bag on Brock's back. Wait, what is this? He says in confusion. Brock, you've been held back from growing, his dad says. It's time you got that chance. So take your own journey. Travel with Ash and help him become the trainer that I could never become. But Dad, what about the gym and all the kids? You will need my help? However, a response from someone that Brock didn't expect comes, supporting Flint's decision. You should go, he says. Dad is here now, so you can be the trainer I know you could be, Forrest says to Brock. See, Flint says, even Forrest realizes I'm right. You need to go. Brock looks on in silence, thinking about the situation. Don't worry, Flint says. I won't fail again. Relenting, Brock says he will go, only for Ash and Pikachu to oppose this whole thing. He's already got one crazy person following him, and after Brock's outburst yesterday, he's not sure if he should be traveling together with him. Oh, nonsense, Flint says. Brock will be a great addition to his team as he forces Ash to take the badge. Brock will make you worthy of this, he says. Now go. Ash looks at Flint, then to Brock. Well, I guess, he says, unsure. Brock has an equal response of hesitation as he tightens the straps on his bag. With one final goodbye, our now trio of heroes heads off to their next destination. After a day or so of travel, they find themselves nearing the point that Brock suggested to go, Diglett Cave. You see, there used to be another way out of Pewter to Mount Moon, but it has become off limits in recent years due to being declared a nature preserve. So this is the only way to make it to the eastern part of the region by land. While Ash doesn't really care as he just wants to get to the next gym, Misty on the other hand has a mental sigh of relief as she doesn't want to go straight through to Cerulean City for whatever reason. Though this time has been wasted as Ash and Brock have been getting to know each other and their Pokemon. Brock is very fascinated with Pikachu and its problems with the Pokeball, and Nidoran and its fear of the yellow mouse. The two are in mid-conversation about this issue when they near the entrance of Diglett Cave. Something catches Ash's eye, breaking the intense talk they are in. Near the entrance to the cave sits a Pokemon. It's a Charmander, Ash says, and it looks pretty beat up. Brock and Misty look at the fire type, knowing instantly what this is. However, Ash, being a newer trainer, is a bit naive to the situation, as he thinks that it's a wild Pokemon. However, Misty and Brock quickly break the bad news to the boy, that the fire starter was abandoned by its trainer. They can tell by how beat up it is and the way Charmander looks. Its eyes are glazed over, like there's no one home. This Charmander has been sitting in the same spot for quite a while, Brock says. How can you tell? Ash questions, only for Brock to point out the flame on Charmander's tail. It's very weak, and there have been a lot of rains in the area as of late. I bet this Charmander has been sitting here waiting for its trainer to come back. That's horrible, Misty says. Who could just abandon their Pokemon like this? It's absolutely disgusting. Brock agrees with her, but is unsure on how to proceed. However, Ash doesn't even think twice. I'm going to capture it, he says, pulling out a Pokeball. But Ash, it may not want to be caught. Some Pokemon will wait for their trainers. Well, look at it, Brock. Charmander is shivering with how cold it is, and if we don't do something, then it may not make it. Well, I guess you're right on that part, Brock says. Without hesitation, Ash throws the ball, thinking that this will be an easy capture. However, as quickly as Charmander is absorbed into the ball, it breaks free, still demonstrating the last bit of its unbroken will that it may have. Ash doesn't understand. How could it still have the ability to resist in the state that it's in? Misty tells Ash that there's not much more they can do. Charmander doesn't want to be caught, and they would be no better than its trainer if they force it. So what should we do, Ash asks. Well, leave it, Misty says. But our stubborn hero stands firm, telling the redhead that's not an option. He won't leave Charmander out here to just die. Well then, what do you suggest we do? Misty says with a tone of frustration in her voice. Simple. I'm staying here until Charmander either comes with me or I can catch it and get it the help that it needs. But Ash, there's a storm coming in, Brock says. Well, you guys can go ahead without me. I'm not moving. This causes an argument to break out between Ash and Misty, but Brock is able to shut this down quickly with a reasonable compromise. DIDNT Cave is just ahead, so they can set up camp inside while they look after Charmander. While she doesn't like it, Misty agrees, as she's not leaving Ash's side until he pays her back for her bike. So both Brock and Misty proceed to set up camp while Ash and Pikachu just sit next to Charmander. They don't really say anything, just waiting for it to acknowledge them. The rest of the day fades to night as violent rains and hurricane winds ravage the area. But Ash remains steadfast in his decision, doing whatever he can to protect Charmander from the typhoon. Whether it's pouring down rain or burning heat, he will not leave Charmander's side. This cycle of futility goes on for days, far longer than Misty or Brock thought it would. It's to the point that Misty is urging Ash to end this senseless struggle. Charmander isn't responding to him, and nothing has changed. It's growing weaker by the day, and it hasn't responded to anything that they've tried. It's just a waste of time. Misty's comments end up causing an argument between her and Ash again that quickly escalates in intensity. However, this stops when Brock points out the matter at hand. Charmander has finally collapsed, and its tail flame is almost completely out. The trio begin to panic as Brock sees if there's anything he can do, but he quickly realizes that they must get it to a Pokemon Center if there's any hope in saving the fire lizard. Pulling out the ball from his belt, Ash taps it, finally securing its capture. Though he would like to celebrate, the severity of the situation stops him as Misty and Brock begin to pack up camp. With nothing else to do, the trio set off into the cave that is pitch black due to it being night outside. It takes a few hours, but by daybreak, the trio find themselves exiting the cave. In the distance, Vermilion City sits on the horizon. With no words said, the three begin to run as fast as their tired bodies will carry them. Luckily, it doesn't take long for them to find the Pokemon Center. Beaten and bruised, Ash rushes inside to find Nurse Joy and inform her of the situation. Normally, the redhead would scold the trainer for bringing a Pokemon in such poor condition, but there is no time for that as she and Chansey rush off into intensive care. With Charmander now in the hands of Nurse Joy, our heroes decide to book a room at the center so that they can rest up and get some much needed food. Ash's first stop finds himself on the way to the cafeteria, but he's quickly stopped when a boy rushes in as his Rattata lays on a hospital bed, flinching with paralysis. Wow, that looks like it was a pretty tough battle, Ash says, but he doesn't really think anything of it as he heads into the cafeteria, and with his starter, he begins piling food on a plate. But his attention is quickly changed when he hears a familiar voice talking about how all the starters that Professor Oak gives out are all jokes. His was so weak that he just abandoned it on the side of the road right before DIDNT Cave. Anger begins to consume our hero as he turns, and there stands a trainer he knows all too well. And this is where we are going to leave things for now. Tell me, how did you feel about this part? Did I do a better job on how Brock joined Ash than in the anime? How did you feel about how I handled Brock's issues with his dad? Is this the right time for Ash to have finally captured Charmander? Let me know in the comments down below. Alright trainers, I hope you got your Pokédexes ready, because the ones we met today were nothing? And that's all we have for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed the content that you saw today, and I really hope you come back for future episodes. I really hope you'll consider following me on some of my other platforms, maybe on Twitter, or joining my Discord if you like following behind the scenes things, or if you want to just get to know the community that I've slowly been able to build here the last couple of years on YouTube. Also, if you want to help support the channel a little bit more, considering joining my Patreon or becoming a YouTube channel member. I offer exclusive content on both of those platforms for the different tiers, and it's content that I'm sure you won't want to miss out, as it's going to be a long time before it comes to YouTube. But with all that being said, I really hope that you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.